Welcome Barber to this men's scissor cutting tutorial. My name's Michael Home. I've been cutting hair for 20 years and in this video I'm going to show you lots of clever and simple ways to cut men's hair with scissors. I'm going to start this haircut by wetting the hair down, and I'm going to start right in the middle at the back of the head. Now, some of you may have seen this before on one of my videos, but this is a way that I can control the hair and it gives me access to all these sections underneath the long hair from the occipital bone. With all that hair up above out of the way, it means I can go in at the occipital bone and I can work my way down in sections. So I pick it up with the scissor and then I place the comb underneath, like I catch it with the comb, and then I can cut. So you're working your way down in this fashion. The reason for this is if you work your way up, you work into piles of hair. All the hair that's higher up will lie on top of your section. With that section done, we can step to the side and we can do the same thing to the side of that. If you could think of it as panels and you're working your way down, you're probably going to need to do about 5 panels. So there's going to be like a middle panel, a panel to the side of that, and then a panel just by the ear which you're going to work down. Now you'll notice that I put the point of the scissor in right behind the hairline at the back of the ear and then slide it in. It's quite important that you go in and you make sure that you catch all the hair from the hairline in. Otherwise you're just going to be left with long hair that you've missed. What's the trick to this method? It's the comb. Watch the comb, okay? I've got it pinched in my thumb and my forefinger, and what I do is I flip it over. Now, a good idea is to practice that at home yourself. Just practice flipping the comb. I used to sit in a sofa and I would just flip a comb over for like half an hour, just practicing to build up speed and agility with the comb. That might sound strange, but it worked for me. I would just watch something on the TV and flip a comb over while I was doing it. Just work my way over on this last panel now. Let's pull all this hair down now. This was all the long stuff we moved out of the way. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create like a nice clean line from the crown right down to the ear, and I'll just separate that out of the way. So I know that I've got this area under control, it's sectioned off, and what we're going to do is take a number of sections, but I'm looking for that short hair that you just saw me cut a minute ago. So if I pick this up here, at the very fingertips, there's that short hair there. So what I need to do is cut up the fingers. I've actually tilted my hand out from the crown a little bit and I'm just following the length up, so the short hair is just going straight into more short hair, which is getting gradually longer as it goes up the way. That's what you would call a graduation. For this area here, in this method, this is more of a removal method. You do need to refine it as well. I mean, you can't just take 4 or 5 strokes and that's it done. Let me show you how I would refine it. If we comb all this down again now, let's just go back to the scissor over comb. So I'll just go in and I'll look for any rough hair. When you've been taking vertical sections, sometimes you find that taking horizontal sections throw up some sort of rough or uneven areas. Now I'm pulling it all in towards the ear here. I want it beyond the hairline so that I can cut down, and that way I know that no matter how the wind blows or the hair, it's not going to stick out beyond the hairline. I will work my way across over to the other side. I'll do the same thing and refine it and then just go down the side. Now, this area here is all cut and I'm going to use that as my guide to join into the length in the front. So if I separate the top out of the way and pull all this hair down at the side so that it's ready to be collected by the comb. Here we go. Okay, so I've got some short hair and some long hair, and I'm going to pull them together, and I can see the short hair in amongst the long hair, and that's the length for me to cut to. If I follow this forwards, and I'm always cutting to that guideline from my previous shorter section, then I know that by the time I get to the front, it's all going to be the same length. Now, it will be rough. That's something I want to tell you here. It's not going to be pristine. This is, as I said, a removal method, this vertical section. What we need to do after taking vertical sections is comb it down and do horizontal sections again. This is what really polishes the hair up. You have so much control when you do this, and around the edges, around the nape of the neck, it takes a bit of practice, but eventually you start to become very, very refined at cutting those areas. You start getting tighter towards the edges, taking small amounts off. So keep practicing with this method. When you get it, and you're just gonna love cutting hair like this. I'm working my way down the sideburn here. I'm just taking the bulk off there because I am gonna go in with the little trimmer once the hair's all dried off later on. Always cut away from the ear. So the back of the scissor is on the ear, and I close the scissor with the back of the scissor on the ear. That's a safe way to cut. Now I can just refine this a little bit. At the front of the face there, I'm just gonna cut around the hairline, just cut all this stuff off. As I said, I don't need to worry too much because I am coming back with the little trimmer, so let's not get too excited or panic about that. Okay, I'll tie in the other side to match, and I don't always work this quick. Let's speed it up. Right. Tidy that up, and let's get on to the top. So I'm wetting it down again. Don't be afraid to make sure that you have plenty of water on your hair. The more water, the better. Having plenty of water on the hair keeps the hair under control. So this area at the back here, I'm gonna comb that down, and I'm just gonna make sure that there's nothing extra. See, I've pulled some of the hair back from the top to join into the crown. And this is gonna be what I'm gonna use as my guide for cutting the top. I'm not gonna do that profile section that you sometimes see me do in videos. I'm gonna cut the crown to a certain length, and we'll work my way forward there. Okay, so I've got the crown at a certain length now, and I can work my way forward from there. So I'll separate this out. These are all my sections, and I'm gonna work my way forward. No need for a profile section. I can see the short hair from my crown, and I just work my way forwards to that. Something you won't see me do in this haircut is over direct the hair back when I get to the front. Now, if you're not familiar with the phrase over direction, I'll leave a link to an over direction video to explain what over direction is to you, but I'm not over directing in this haircut because I am cutting it quite long. So if I over direct back at the fringe, then the front of the hair is going to be really long. So I'm just cutting it quite uniform on top. By uniform, I mean at the crown and at the middle and at the front, it's going to be the same length no matter where I pick it up. Okay, so I'm working my way forward to the front, but I am going to work on the front separately as well. I'm going to show you another little method. So I've got it down to pretty much the length I want it to be at the front, but I'm going to refine it with something that I'll show you later on in this video as well. Okay, at the side, we've got our short bit where that little circle is in the middle, and I'm going to take all my sections and I'll be able to see the short hair that I've already cut in the middle by my inside knuckle. So a comb width, this is something that I have mentioned a few times in videos. Use the width of your comb as a marker for how much hair to pick up. If it all fits in the teeth of your comb, then that's probably a perfect amount of hair to pick up. If you're squashing it into the comb, you know, like you comb in and you pull even more into the comb, you're probably cutting too much hair. A constant question is, how do I get rid of scissor marks? Well, the answer to getting rid of scissor marks is make sure your sections are very, very small. Scissor marks are like lines that appear in hair, and it often happens when you are cutting on straight hair. That's when it's very obvious, but it can happen in sort of wavy hair as well. You would almost not notice it at all in curly hair because it all curls up. Scissor marks are generally a sign of too big a section, or you don't have the correct tension on every section, or you're cutting your sections to different lengths. But the biggest culprit is too big a section. So I'm working my way forward just like I did on the other side here now. So I've basically cut the whole top, and what I need to do is I need to join in the top and the sides together. So I've come all out of the way, and what I'm going to do is I'm showing you this from an overhead view this time. I wanted you to see the sort of angle that I pull my hands out from the top. So I pick it up, bend the fingers out, and then join the hair from the top to the short hair on the side. Now I know that the elbow police will be telling me off. If you're waiting there at your keyboard waiting to tell me that I've got terrible posture, I know I have terrible posture sometimes when I'm cutting hair, and all I can say is sometimes I just want to give you guys a shot. I want to give you an angle, the correct angle, because really when you're cutting hair you shouldn't have your elbow way up in the air like I have here. At the front I'm going to cut a number of sections like this, okay? So there'll be a point in the middle of the head, and I'll pick up these sections. Now what I'm doing here is I'm removing weight from behind the fringe, okay? Imagine I pulled a few little bits of hair out of my fingers there at the front after I picked it up. It would still form a fringe. Everything else that's behind that is just lying on top of the fringe. So if you take some hair away from behind it, it takes weight out of your fringe. It makes your fringe lighter. So I've pretty much got the length that I require here. So all I need to do is just go over this and make sure that there's no extra long hair hanging out at the front, nothing that's going to go in his eyes. Look at that, there is a big sort of wave at the front there, a cow lick. So if I just relax that on the comb, just rest it on the comb, then I don't need to worry about it springing up all over the place after I've cut it. We still have all the work to do around the sides, but I'll give it a dry off first. I like to dry it off first because the electric trimmers, they don't really work very effectively on wet hair. That's because they're so fine, the blade is really fine, and it can't get through wet hair because wet hair clumps together. So at the back of the ear, we'll just make a straight line all the way down to the nape of the neck. I'm a big fan of this. It's like it kind of frames your work. And it does look so clean once you remove that neck hair. I'll do the same on the other side as well, obviously, as if I would do something else on the other side. Okay, I'm going up a little bit. Now I had a little bit of a problem with this this finish on the neck here because my client has quite a lot of neck hair, and I want to try and shorten the length of the neck hair. So I'm coming up quite high, almost to the hairline and slightly inside the hairline, although I don't normally do that. But what I'm going to do is taper it with a half, just a little bit, and then I'll build up into that with like perhaps a 1 and then a 1.5. This is just to kind of soften that bottom area. Sometimes I can find myself messing around on the neck here for ages, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, you can sit and kind of polish your work for quite a while if you want to. It's totally up to you. A little bit of vertical clipper over comb, just to take some weight off. I'm reluctant to really go into this with a clipper guard on because I can see myself just doing a complete taper with clippers here, so I'm just being very careful, nibbling away, just taking a small amount off. Don't go too crazy. Square the sides, and I'm just going to thin them down. I'll use the thickness of the comb here, just put the comb in and then just take away all that kind of fluffiness. You don't always have to taper a sideburn away or take it up really high. There's a different look for every person, and take the opportunity to work with all of them. Nowadays we have a lot of beards, so quite often you don't leave that shape. You're just kind of blending down into facial hair. Just trim away this stuff that's on the face. A little bit of clipper over comb. And don't forget to clean it all off and keep your area tidy. Alright, I think I'm quite happy with that. What do you think? Do you like it? That's a gent's scissor cut. If you want to learn more from me, I do teach barbering on Udemy, and I'll leave links below for that. Until next time, all the best with your gent scissor cuts, and I will see you in my next video.